Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. It's me, Tim Skinner here. And I am now presenting the long-awaited chapter 4 and 5 readings of The Connection. The reason why it took so long is because I had many technology issues. I didn't even think I would be able to get to upload what I did because I couldn't even upload the videos that I spent time editing. I could only upload the webcam versions, which sucked, but just making do. Alright, without further ado, Chapter 4, Still My Mother. I still haven't gotten my copies without this print. I should hopefully soon. Miss Lee looked at Oliver and me from the review mirror, flung her hair out from her face, and returned her gaze to the road. The AC was on full blast, but it only slightly masked the 94-degree summer weather. I adjusted one of the vents so it was fully facing me and wiped sweat from my forehead. "Thanks for coming with me," I told Oliver. "Huh?" The sound of cool air being created made more noise than me. Thank you for coming." "Yeah, no problem." I smiled at him and turned my head toward the window. "Do you think you'll ever forgive her for what she did to you?" he asked in a tone of voice that told me I shouldn't. "Someday I'm gonna have to. She's still my mother. She provided me with that house and food for the first decade and a half of my life." "Yeah, but she was beyond abusive." "Before my dad disappeared, she never laid a hand on me. Maybe she wanted to be a good mom in her own way, but her mental problems definitely put a damper on things," I said. "You don't have to make excuses for her. What she did to you was one of the worst." Is the dog trying to come in? I'll just leave it open. "What she did to you was one of the worst things a parent could ever do to their kid. How come you couldn't meet me right after you were done working?" "I had to do chores for Miss Lee." He quickly glanced up at the review mirror, leaned in close to me, and said in a quiet voice, "So she takes half the money you work for and makes you do housework?" "Well, she took care of me when Mary went crazy. If it wasn't for her, I would be stuck in a foster care system right now, or worse, put out on the streets. She allowed me and Mary to stay at her place when her house was condemned. I owe her everything," I whispered. And then, scene break. Miss Lee stood inside the door frame of Mary's room as the two of us walked in. Mary was lying on a hospital bed with a white gown on and was connected by wires that led up to a heart rate monitor. The room was white and blank. Oliver and I sat in the seats next to her bed. Mary turned her head and sat up to face us. "Hey you kids, I'm so happy to see you," she said while leaning in and wrapping her arms around the two of us in a giant group hug. I shivered as Mary's arms wrapped around my back. It made me remember that night when she turned more twisted than a washing machine. And scene break, 1 month earlier. PSA, this section is kind of like dealing with abuse. So if that bothers you, then maybe skip past. It doesn't get it kind of does get crazy, but it's not like the worst. Mary was standing in Miss Lee's kitchen scolding me. It was just the two of us in the house. "What the hell is wrong with you? Why can't you even look at me?" "Because, Mom, you're an abuser and a monster that I've had to live with my whole life." She grabbed her glass of wine and bashed it on the floor with great force. Shards of glass flew through the air. I backed up as pieces came flying at me. "Do you know what my mother would have done to me if I did so much as look at her wrong?" I shook my head fast. "She would tie my arms and legs with a rope and pour boiling water over my body." But it taught me. "Now it's your turn to be taught." She began charging at me, and I ran away from her, unsure of what she was trying to do. And then page break and present day. "So, what have you kiddos been up to all this time?" I sat there staring at her blankly. And then Oliver chips in. "Well, Sarah and Luna have gotten really close. It's almost like she has a whole new happy family," Oliver said. Mary turned her attention back to me and said, "That's really great, hon. You know I always want the best for you. You're so talented and friendly, I couldn't ask for a better daughter." Page break, 1 month earlier again. She had her hands latched tightly around my wrists, holding me down to the ground on my back, red appearing on my hands. Ugh, your face looks like it was just shitted on. I can't believe I'm the mother of someone so disgusting, weak, and pathetic as you, said Mary before slapping me hard across the face. I should put that head in the blender and stand up and cheer as it disappears, just so I don't have to keep looking at it. Mary slapped me again, each time feeling like I've just bashed my head off of a metal truck. It felt like there were pine needles stabbing through both of my cheeks. I wasn't just held to that floor by my mother's force, but also by mental confusion, hurt, and anger. She stood up, grabbed my arm, and began dragging me across the hall. I tried standing up multiple times, but kept tripping over myself. Hope I'm not going too fast. I try to slow down. Then, scene break. ... in present day. She put her hand on my cheek and goosebumps went up my neck. You're so beautiful. Honey, you should be a supermodel. Don't worry, Oliver. You're a handsome young man as well. Sorry, Mom. I'm just having a really hard time looking at you. Why is that? Scene break. 1 month earlier again. I screamed as I felt slimy worms sticking to my skin while moving and spider legs tickling me all over my body. I stood up and kicked the closet door. Sorry, that Mary locked me in, but it didn't break, wouldn't even crack. Okay, Mom, you made your point. I will always make sure to look at you from now on, okay? She was sitting on her bed, watching through the holes of the closet system with a bag of popcorn in her hand, looking at me and laughing. Wait, I'm having trouble telling the difference between worms and my daughter, because there is no difference. Ha 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 ha. That was weird. She reached inside a container below the bed, pulled out another handful of worms from it, and dropped them inside the closet. Please let me out, please. She stared at me and pulled out a huge kitchen knife from her pocket. Fine, I think you learned your lesson. I'll come over and unlock the door. Scene break, present day. I just can't, I said. Sarah can't look at her. It's okay. I understand. I'm being taught tactics, my god, to think more clearly and to control my emotions better. I think I'm finally becoming a better person, Sarah. I hope. Oh, 1 second. My dad just called. He's gonna pick me up soon. I have to kind of hurry up. Of course. Well, I knew he was coming, but where was I just can't, I said. It's okay, I understand. I'm being taught tactics. I smiled fakely at her, wanting to run far away. Scene break, 1 month earlier. My hands and legs were roped tightly to the kitchen chair. Mary was by the stove with the flame on. I pulled my arms down and kicked my legs, using all of my strength to try and escape the ropes. She moved the kitchen knife along the flame, and the blade began heating up and turning orange. My heart was beating out of my chest. Kind of get ready while I'm reading. Mary turned the stove off and walked up to me slowly with the smoking hot knife in her hand. I tried pulling my limbs out from the rope loops, but they were tied too tight. She emerged right in front of me, towering over. She grabbed my hair and held the steaming hot knife mere inches away from my neck. This is what I've been dreaming to do since the moment your hideous face came out of me. You're seriously going to stand there and murder your own blood daughter? Absolutely. I can't wait to watch your dreadful soul disappear out of your disgusting lumpy body. I'm going to watch you die. She took the knife and sliced my arm with it. A piercing pain trickled up to my brain, blood dripping all the way down to my hand, and it began forming a red pile on the floor. I'm gonna take it slow, and I'll laugh my ass off as you suffer a painful death by the hands of me, your own mother. How perfect is that? Suddenly, I heard the back door open. Miss Lee and Luna walked in, and that's when Mary was taken away to the asylum. So that kind of loops up all the loose ends that the reader doesn't understand up until this point, I feel like. Chapter 5, the last one. Oh my gosh. Alright. Chapter 5. Here's your wristband. Have a great day, I said to a customer. She nodded her head and smiled at me before walking off. My watch read 10:32 a.m. I would have to stand there for 3 more hours. Monday mornings were never busy at all, and you'd think that would be a good thing, but without filling out conversations with people and calculating math problems, 3 hours felt like 3 years. Emptiness and social deprivation made its way through the veins of my toes, in my knees, and eventually into my heart as the teenagers in the pool felt so light and happy while their whole selves connected with others, like a lemon being squeezed out into a glass of water. It must have felt amazing to be heard and cared about. That made me want to scream and tear apart everything I saw because I would never feel that. There was something wrong with the way my brain processed existing, and I couldn't talk because my thoughts were undirected. But I suppressed it, just like I always did, pulled out my phone and started scrolling through Instagram reels. Another half hour went by and I noticed a tiny white dot next to my phone camera. Does this mean my phone's being accessed? Is someone watching me right now? Something suddenly touched my shoulder. I gasped and my clumsy ass stumbled to the ground. Sorry, didn't mean to startle you, a male voice called out. I laid there for a moment feeling embarrassed and pathetic before lifting my stinging body off the ground. A boy around my age was standing before me. He wore a purple crew neck shirt, had black curly hair, and dark green eyes. I stood there for a second, my thoughts racing through my mind like a horse, until I realized I was staring. Oh, don't worry about it. It's not the first time that has happened, and it definitely won't be the last, I said before nervously laughing. He chuckled back while running his hand through his hair, his dark hair, like I just did. His facial features looked clean, and that warm smile filled my stomach up with butterflies. I stared into his eyes, embracing the way he was making me feel. Waves of this pink energy stabbed me with ecstasy and desire. His pupils began growing as the corners of his mouth slightly dropped and his eyebrows... Jesus Christ. Oh, she wants me to pick out what to do for dinner, but I have to do this. Oh my goodness. Just a 2-hour pull pass, please. Still staring me deep in the eyes. Oh wait. So how can I help you? I said while shaking my head, breaking out of the slight trance I was in. It's too fast. Just a 2-hour pull pass, please. Still staring me deep in the eyes. I have to get ready while I'm trying to read because my dad's gonna pick me up. I swear it's never this hectic until I'm doing something. Jesus Christ. Have to... Alright. His pupils were almost drowning his irises. I tried to suppress the smile forming but couldn't. Your total is $8, I say while grabbing the wristband and running it through the register. He grabbed a $10 bill from his wallet and handed it to me. I gave him $2 back and closed the register. Hey, I'm Nick, he said while reaching his arm out to shake my hand. Sarah. The moment our fingers intertwined, the pink, flustering energy swallowed me. My brain's cords crossed and everywhere and everything tingled. It wasn't like anything I've ever felt before. Maybe I'll see you around, Sarah, he said while letting go. Maybe. I looked away, flabbergasted. My cheeks felt like they were on fire. He's too perfect, and I craved more of him. Hey, Nick, I called. He turned around, still smiling. Me and my friends are going to that carnival in town at 6 p.m. tomorrow. Would you maybe want to come with us? I asked. His face lit up. Of course, I'll definitely be there. Thank you all so much for watching that. I have to call my stepmom back now. I should have done this earlier. Or, like, later when I was at my father's house. But anyway, thank you. I appreciate it. And you have not... And more content of mine is coming. Bye.